Buenas, hola, ¿quién está conmigo? Elizabeth, ¿cómo está?
Hola, profe, buenos días, bienvenido.
¿Qué tal? Me había
¿Cómo?
demorado porque no me habían mandado el link. No tenía el link de Zoom para entrar.
Tranquilo, profe.
¿Estudiantes? ¿Tenemos a alguien?
No, profe,
No,
hoy no hay nadie.
se fueron de carnaval.
Eso pienso yo.
Ay, santo cielo. ¿Qué hacemos? ¿Qué hacemos?
Bueno,
Ah,
la clase igual queda grabada.
Sí, o
Yo,
sea, igual se está grabando ahorita, ¿no? Igual anuncio que este tipo de clases que se graban en ausencia de estudiantes generalmente son mucho más cortas. ¿Por qué?
sí,
Porque
profe.
no tengo nadie con quien interactuar. Entonces, prácticamente leo las diapositivas, hago algunas sugerencias y es lo único que yo puedo hacer, prácticamente. Así que, am, bueno, vamos a comenzar ya para ya, si alguien se mete, usted me avisa, y entonces paramos y entonces ya interactuamos con ese estudiante.
Listo, profe, así
Ok,
será.
sí,
Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Bienvenidos a la clase de literatura infantil. Para compartirles los parámetros de las secciones por videoconferencia, las secciones se graban, pueden verlas nuevamente en la plataforma virtual. Les solicitamos que por favor silencien sus micrófonos y puedan activarlos cuando quieran hacer consultas o aportes con el permiso del docente. Le pedimos que mantenga su cámara activa. De no poder hacerlo, enviar su excusa por el chat de Zoom. De lo contrario, será retirada la sección y le serán restados puntos en la valoración del docente. Miro cómo moderador es facilitar y apoyar en la parte técnica. Consultas por el chat personal o general. Les exhorto a tener bolígrafo y papel para hacer sus anotaciones y aprovechar al máximo esta sección que tiene una oración de 2 horas.
listo. Thank you, Elizabeth. Hello, students. Welcome to module number 4 of children's literature. Once more, we are proceeding with a recording in absence of students. So it's going to be a kind of a short. We will read out the slides. Now, the important thing about this is children literature is for you to read and understand. Read and understand because the questions that you're going to be asked in the platform, it requires comprehensive learning. You got to know what you're reading and you have to know how to exactly answer the questions that you're going to be seeing once you take the test. Okay? So this class was about showing you how reading comprehension works. No? So you have to just read. If you don't understand something, go back. And in this case, well, you'll have to check with a dictionary or check online and see what certain terms mean. Now, this book, I think it's called Treasure Island. It's the version that was written for kids. So it's a version that's in a much easier English. It's not in complicated English. It's an English that you should be able to understand, no? Because the other book, the standard book, the original book that was written by Robert Louis Stevenson, no, that one, it's written in part the part English that we know nowadays and isn't part in Old English. So you will have terms that are much more difficult to understand. But this version, since it's kids literature, it's easier. It's designed for children to understand what's going on or what's happening in the chapter. And the book itself has been reduced. It's not that long as the original text that was written. That was back in 18 something, the year 18 something that the original book was written. So that's a long time ago. That's 19th century. Okay. So now let's try and share the screen with you. Let's see where I can find it. And we'll start at the beginning of the chapter, somewhere wrong on top here. Okay, we'll start at the beginning and I will read out to you. Well, this class is module 4. So module 4 begins today. It continues next Tuesday. And then it will, let me see. No, not next Tuesday. It's Tuesday after. This class is taken in advance. Um, the class is for 2 weeks, and then we will cover module 5 for another 2 weeks. So this class, what I will read out today is half of the class, and the other half we will deal with that whenever we meet again for part 2 of this class. So I will start reading that now. This is children's literature, as what you see on your screens. The zoom is too high here. Let's see. Okay, this is module 4. So we're going to start reading about Treasure Island. That's a book that in most schools, they give it in Panama. Some schools wouldn't give it. They will give another. Some schools will give this probably in Spanish. And but I've seen many schools give this text to kids in English. Probably you did it already. Probably you were given that whenever you went to school. Probably you forgot about it at this stage. And most likely the version that you got in school is original. So this version here is a little bit more simpler, more easier to understand, especially for those who do not have a complete grasp in the English language as yet. Okay, so let me just read it out for you. I will read it until slide number 19 or 20, which is exactly half, and the other half we will deal with that in the following class. Now, whoever looks at this, you will have your videos. This video should be available 24 hours after. So once you get this video available, please go and study, practice, and try and put whatever you don't understand, look in a dictionary or look it up in the translator online and try and understand and follow it, because the questions that are gonna be asked once you take test number 4, it's about the novel itself. So you need to have a good understanding of what it says in it. So let me try and start and read it out for you. Treasure Island. Okay, let's go with a slide. And let me put up the zoom a little bit so I could read it. Hold on a second. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1, James Hawkins' story, number 1. My father had an inn near the sea. It was a quiet place, sorry. One day, an old man came to our door. He was tall and strong, and his face was brown. His old blue coat was dirty, and he had a big old box with him. He looked at the inn, then he looked at the sea. My father came to the door. At first, the old man did not speak. He looked again at the sea and at the front of the inn. I like this place, he said. Do many people come here? No, said my father. I'm going to stay here, said the old man. I want a bed and food. I like watching the sea and the ships. You can call me captain. He threw some money on the table. That's for my bed and my food, he said. And so the old captain came to stay with us. He was always quiet. In the evenings, he sat in the inn, and in the day, he watched the sea and the ships. One day, he spoke to me. Come here, boy, he said, and he gave me some money. Take this and look out for a sailor with one leg. He was afraid of that sailor with one leg. I was afraid too. I looked for the man with one leg, but I never saw him. Then winter came, and it was very cold. My father was ill, and my mother and I worked very hard. Early one January morning, the captain went to the beach. I helped my mother to make the captain's breakfast. The door opened, and a man came in. His face was very white, and he had only 3 rings on his left hand. I could see that he was a sailor. Can I help you? I asked. Okay, here we go. Second, let me size it up again. Okay, the man looked at the captain's breakfast table. Is this table for my friend Bill? He asked. I don't know your friend Bill, I said. It's the captain's table. The captain, he said? Well, they sometimes call me friend. Bill, the captain, is he here in the house? No, he's out, I said. The man sat down and waited for the captain. Then the captain came into the room. He went to his table and sat down. Bill, said the man. The captain turned around quickly. His face went white. Suddenly he looked old and ill. Come, Bill, you know me. You know an old friend, Bill, said the man. Black Dog, said the captain. Yes, said the man. It's me, Black Dog. I wanted to see my old friend Billy. Well, here I am, said the captain. What do you want? I want to talk to you, Bill, Black Dog said. The captain looked at me. Leave the room, boy, he said, and don't listen at the door. They talked for a long time. Then I heard them talking angrily. No, 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 said the captain. There was a fight, and then Black Dog ran out of the house. The captain's face was white. I must get out of here, he said. I ran to get him a drink. I came back and found the captain on the floor. His eyes were closed. Our doctor, Dr. Livesey, came and looked at the old captain. He's very ill, said the doctor. The captain opened his eyes and looked at the doctor. Where's Black Dog? He asked. There's no Black Dog here, said the doctor. No, Billy Bones. You must. Billy Bones, said the captain. My name's not Billy Bones. Oh, said the doctor. Oh, yes. It's the name of a famous pirate. We put the old captain in his bed. He must stay in his bed for a week, said the doctor. He's very ill. At 12 o'clock, I went to see the captain in his room. What did the doctor say? He asked. You must stay in bed for a week. I told him. Too late, he said. You remember Black Dog? He's a bad man. But there's a worse man than Black Dog. They want my old box. You must look for sailors. You must look out for Flint's men. Then the captain closed his eyes. But I didn't look out for sailors because my father died that night. I was too sad to think about the captain. A week later, the captain came down and sat in his usual chair. I went outside the inn and looked up and down the road. I saw another man on the road. He wore a long black coat and he walked very slowly. He cannot see, I thought. The man arrived in front of the inn and turned his face to me. Can you tell me, please, where I am? I told him. He listened carefully. You're young, he said. Take my hand, my young friend, and take me inside. He took my hand. He was very strong. Now, my young friend, he said, take me to the captain quickly. I can break your arm. When the captain saw the man, he did not move. The man put something into the captain's hand and then left the inn. Okay, 1 second. The captain looked at the black paper in his hand. Then he read the words on it. 10 o'clock. They're coming at 10 o'clock, he said. We have got 6 hours. He tried to stand up, but he was too ill. I ran for my mother, but it was too late. When we came back, the captain was dead on the floor. My mother and I went to the village, but the people there did not want to help us. They were too afraid. Our friend, the doctor, was away. Nobody could help us. Hold on. I must get my money from the captain's box, my mother said. It's our money. We opened the box. There was some old coats and shirts and a bag of money. My mother began to take the money. Quickly, I said, it's nearly 10 o'clock. It was a cold night and very quiet. Suddenly, I heard a song on the road. Then I heard someone stop outside the inn. We waited, but then everything was quiet again. Nobody moved. Quickly, mother, I said, take all the captain's money. No, she said, I don't want it at all. Then we heard someone again outside the front door. Let's go without the money, my mother said. I took an envelope from the captain's box. I'm going to take this, I said. We left the inn very quietly through the back door. We heard men running along the road to the inn. We stopped behind some trees and watched the men. There were 7 or 8 of them, all pirates. They broke down the door of the inn and ran inside. Bill's dead, someone said. Open his box, a second man said. The money's here. Flint's map. Where's Flint's map? We cannot find it. It's not here. It's those people at the inn. It's that boy. The boy got the map. Find them, boys. The men moved quickly. They looked into every room in the inn. Listen, one of them said. Someone's coming. We must run. No, find the boy. He's near here somewhere. I know. Then I heard a gun. The privates heard it too and began to run. 1 second. We stopped behind some trees and watched the men. Away, we waited for a minute or two, and then we went back to the inn. What did the privates want? A man from the village asked me. Did they find the captain's money? Yes, I said, but I think they wanted this. I showed him the envelope. I think there is a map inside it. You must take it to Mr. Trelawney, he told me. When I arrived at Mr. Trelawney's house, Dr. Livesey was there. Hello, Jim. What is it? He asked. I told him about the pirates. Let's see the map, the doctor said. But first, Mr. Trelawney, what do you know about Captain Flint? Flint? Said Mr. Trelawney. He was a famous pirate and a very bad man. Everyone was afraid of Captain Flint, but he's dead now. Did he have any money? Asked the doctor. Money? Said Mr. Trelawney. He was the richest pirate in the West Indies. Then perhaps this map shows where Captain Flint's treasure is, said the doctor. What? Said Mr. Trelawney. Then I must buy a ship and we can all go and look for the treasure. The doctor opened the map very carefully. It was a map of an island. There was some writing on the map. It said, treasure here. Mr. Trelawney and the doctor were excited. Livesey, said Mr. Trelawney, tomorrow I'm going to Bristol. I'm going to buy a ship and find sailors. Jim, you and Dr. Livesey are going to come with me to look for the treasure. Okay, the next day, Mr. Trelawney left for Bristol. I stayed at home and waited. At last, weeks later, Dr. Livesey got a letter from Bristol. Dear Livesey, the ship is ready. Its name is Hispaniola. I found a good man to be our cook on the ship. He's an old sailor and he has an inn here in Bristol. He's going to help me find sailors for our ship. He knows a lot of men here. His name is Long John Silver. He has only one leg. Please send him Hawkins. Please send Jim Hawkins to Bristol tomorrow. Signed, Trelawney. I was very excited. The next morning, I said goodbye to my mother and started for Bristol. Mr. Trelawney met me there. When do we sail? I asked him. Sail? He said. We sail tomorrow. I had something to eat. Then Mr. Trelawney gave me a letter for Long John Silver at the Spyglass Inn. There were a lot of sailors in the Spyglass Inn. I looked round and saw a tall, strong man with one leg. He is Long John Silver, I thought. Mrs. Silver, sir, I asked. Yes, that's my name. And who are you? I gave him the letter, and he took my hand. Suddenly, one of the other men in the inn jumped up and ran to the door. I knew him. It was Black Dog. Stop him, I said. Stop him. It's Black Dog. Harry, said Silver, run and catch that man. A man got up and ran after Black Dog. Long John Silver turned to me. Who was that man? He asked. Black what? Dog, sir, I said. He's a private. A private, said Silver. Ben, run and help Harry. You can catch him. But Ben and Harry came back with Black Dog. We lost him, they said. Well, what is Mr. Trelawney going to think? Said Silver. You know, Jim, we did try to catch him, and nobody in the inn knew that he was a pirate, Black Dog. Now, Jim, come with me. We're going to see Mr. Trelawney. Long John Silver walked with me to meet Mr. Trelawney and Dr. Livesey. He told him about Black Dog. Mr. Trelawney listened carefully and then said, well, we can't do anything about Black Dog now. John, tell all the men to come to the ship this afternoon. The doctor turned to me. Come and see the ship, Jim, he said, and meet our captain, Captain Smollett. So we went to the Hispaniola. Well, Captain Smollett, said Mr. Trelawney, I hope everything is ready. Well, sir, said the captain, it is, but I'm not happy about it. I don't like the sailors. Okay, 1 second. Long John Silver turned to me. Who was that man? Asked. Black what? Here we go back again to the lecture. Oh, said Mr. Trelawney. He was very angry with the captain. But Dr. Lively said, tell me, Captain Smollett, why are you unhappy? Well, said the captain, I don't know where we are going, but all the sailors say we are going to look for treasure. I don't like it. I don't know these men. Well, what do you want? Asked the doctor. We must have all the guns in our rooms, sir. And Mr. Trelawney's men must sleep near us, not with the other sailors. And, said Mr. Trelawney, you have a map. The sailors know about it. Nobody must see that map. Right, sir, said Mr. Trelawney. We can do that, but I think they are very good men. Trelawney, said the doctor later, you have two good men, Captain Smollett and Long John Silver. I don't know about the captain, said Mr. Trelawney angrily. Then Captain Smollett found me. And you, boy, go and help the cook. We worked all night, and in the morning the ship left Bristol. The Hispaniola was a good ship, and we had good weather. The sailors all liked Long John Silver. In the old days, before he lost his leg, he was a good fighter. Some of them said he was always very good to me. Mr. Trelawney liked to give the sailors things to make them happy. There was always a big barrel of fruit for them. One night, after I finished my work on the ship, I went to get some fruit from the barrel. Everything was very quiet. I climbed inside the barrel to get fruit. Suddenly, a heavy man sat down next to the barrel. He began to speak. It was Long John Silver. I stayed very quiet. Yes, he said. Flint was our captain. I sailed with him many times. We had one big fight. I lost my leg. An old Pew lost his eyes. I saw a lot of fighting and a lot of treasure too. Ah, said the younger man, Flint was a bad man. And where are all Flint's men now? Most of them are here, said Silver quietly. On the ship, all Pew's dead. And you, young man, do you want to help us? Do you want to be a pirate? Yes, I do. Good, said Silver. You're going to be a good pirate. Then the second man spoke to Long John Silver. It was Israel Hands. I don't like our Captain John, he said. Let's kill Smollett and the others. No, we must wait. We must have Captain Smollett sail the ship, said Silver, and Mr. Trelawney and the doctor have the map. Let them find the treasure first, then we can kill them. Now get some fruit from this barrel. I was very afraid, but then someone said, land. Everybody ran to see the island. I waited for a minute. Then I climbed out of the barrel and ran to. The ship was now quite near an island. Does anybody know this island? Captain Smollett asked. I do, said Silver. There were a lot of pirates here in the old days. That hill in the center of the island is called the Spyglass. Then Captain Smollett showed Silver a map of the island. Silver looked at the map very carefully, but it was not Billy Bones' map. It did not show the treasure. I went to Dr. Livesey. Can I speak to you, please, doctor? I said. What is this? What is it, Jim? He asked. Then I told the doctor, Mr. Trelawney and Captain Smollett, about Long John Silver. Most of the sailors are pirates, I said. They want to kill us and take the treasure. Thank you, Jim, said Mr. Trelawney and Captain Smollett. You were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Silver's a very clever man, said the doctor. We all liked him. What are we going to do, Captain? Asked Mr. Trelawney. The next morning, we arrived at the island. I remembered Billy Bones' map. I know there's a house on the island, I thought, but I cannot see it from here. The sailors wanted to leave the ship, but Captain Smollett said, tell the men they can go to the island this afternoon. What are we going to do? Asked Mr. Trelawney. We must think quickly. 3 of the men on the ship, Hunter, Joyce, and Redroot, were Mr. Trelawney's men. He told them about Long John Silver and the pirates, and he gave them some guns. Then he spoke to the other men, the pirates. Men, he said, it's a hot day, and we all tired. Take a boat and go to the island. You can come back this evening. The pirates were happier. 6 of them stayed on the Hispaniola, and 13 got into the small boats and to go to the island. I quietly got into one of the boats too. We arrived on the beach, and I ran away from the pirates. Long John Silver saw me. Jim, Jim, he said, come here. But I did not listen to him. I ran into the trees. I walked about for a time, but then I heard the pirates talking angrily. There was some fighting, and one man died. He didn't want to help them, so they killed him, I thought. They are bad men. 1 second. It says here, I know there is a house on the island, I thought, but I cannot see it from here. I ran and ran. How can I get back to the ship? I thought. Pirates are going to kill me too. I climbed the hill. Suddenly, I saw a man. Who's this? I thought. He isn't one of our men. Nobody lives on this island. I began to run back to the beach, but I was tired, and the man ran very quickly. I stopped and took out my gun. The man carefully came out of the trees. Who are you? I asked. I'm Ben Gunn, he said. I live here. The pirates left me on this island 3 years ago. What's your name? Jim, I told him. Well, Jim, he said, I'm a very rich man, but tell me, who came in that ship? Is it Flint's ship? No, it isn't. Flint is dead, I said, but some of his men are on the ship. No, not a man with one leg? Silver, I asked. Yes, Silver, he said. Are you a friend of his? No, I'm not, I answered. And I told him everything. Is Mr. Trelawney a good man? Ben asked. Perhaps I can help him. Yes, he's very good. And I think he can help you too. Good, said Ben Gunn. But can you help me now? I asked. I must get back to the ship. I've got a little boat, he said. You can use it tonight. Suddenly we heard a song of guns. Listen, they're fighting, I said. We ran to the beach. We heard more guns. Then everything was quiet, and the flag went up above the trees. Okay, this is actually 50% or half of the story that we read. The other 50% will be compensated in the following class. Now, students, listen to something. You probably, if you heard carefully how I read the story out, and knowing fully well that most of you have expressed to me that you want to become teachers, you want to become English teachers. What you heard, the way you heard me speak, it may sound funny to some of you, but this is called voice inflection. Voice inflection. Just by listening to me with my voice inflection, you do not need to read. You could understand the entire story just by listening how I change my tone of voice. I may go higher, I may go lower, but you could understand exactly what I'm trying to say. I've spoken to you in very, very clear English so you could understand. I've made pauses, I have stopped, I've continued when I have to. So all these things, what I'm trying to say, you must obey the punctuations in the lecture. You got a comma, you got a full stop, whatever, you have to respect it. And each of these punctuations make you change your voice level, your voice tone. So a person can very easily understand what you're saying. You cannot read it flat. If you read this flat, nobody will ever understand. You will not even understand your own self, what you are saying. This is very important for a teacher. A teacher must know how to change his voices, change his or her voice, so your students could perfectly well understand what you are saying. You didn't come with me this week. I did not see you, but at least you could listen to the audio and practice reading out this passage the same way that I read it out. No, this is a practice, a reading practice. It was not intended to be a reading practice. It was intended to be a reading comprehension class. But since no one came today, well, then what I did, well, just read it out, and so you could try and perfect your tone of voice, the way how you read out things, so people could understand you clearly. All that's left to say, I will have to expect that you come next week, the part 2 of this class. Well, not next week, Tuesday will be the week after. Next week, Tuesday. Well, this Tuesday that's coming right now is a holiday. This class was done in advance. So until the following Tuesday, we will meet again. So practice. If you have a question, you could ask me in class or you could send it to me through a chat, through a forum, and I will answer that back to you. So kids, take care. Until next time. Elizabeth, ¿estás ahí?
Profe, ya. Gracias, profe. De todas maneras, a todos les deseo un feliz fin de semana y hasta la próxima.
Felicidades. Gracias,
profe.
Elizabeth, por acompañarnos. Hasta luego.